Welcome back to the Rick Smith Show. Now, here is Rick Smith.
So as I said at the beginning, this retired Colonel Phil Waldron, Mr. PowerPoint. Look, I'm really hoping that Mr. PowerPoint comes out because he was so confident in his plan that he wrote it out on a PowerPoint and presented it to everyone. I hope he is so confident that he was right that he comes out and says, look, I did this. I was right. I'm still right. And then testifies. Will he do that? No. But, we'll see. And here to share some thoughts on, our caucus of treasons and traitors. And, of course, Mr. PowerPoint himself. There's got to be a joke in there somewhere. I've asked our good friend Steve Hofstetter to come talk with us. Steve's a comedian, my YouTube addiction, and a lot of other people. If you don't know him, you've got to seek this stuff out. Steve, thanks for taking time for us.
I appreciate it. If you want jokes about PowerPoint, man, I have jokes about PowerPoint, man. And I just heard about this a second ago. But I truly believe that the way this happened was he just pitched the idea of a PowerPoint, and Trump was so excited by the word power that he was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, he doesn't even know what the software is. I think they probably had an Excel. He was excited about that as well. They tried to pitch Word, but he's like, no, I'm afraid of those. So there was nothing done in Word. Just...
Now, are you surprised, kind of like I am, because I am a little surprised at how brazen they are, to use commercial software that can be traced and shared and all of this stuff, that they were just really right up front, that they were okay with the treason they were moving forward on.
I'm not surprised at all, and here's why. Rick, are you familiar with the Roger Clemens steroid scandal?
Yeah.
Do you know? Yeah, and you know that he paid for them with a check, right?
Yes.
And the reason is because people who do those things don't think they're doing anything wrong. And so they weren't hiding because they thought they were about to win. They thought that this was going to work. They thought that they would overturn all the results. They thought they were going to install him as president/dictator. And they thought everything was going to be fine. They thought that this PowerPoint was going to be printed out and framed. And turns out, no.
Yeah. What's interesting to me is I have friends who during the Obama years were walking around with the pocket constitutions, yelling about, that they were all Tea Party people and, you're destroying democracy. Yet I can't find one of them today, not a peep out of one of them, when you actually had someone who was trying to overthrow an election and really trash the Constitution. I find it ironic.
Well, it doesn't count when it's their guy. It's the same way that, like, when a Democrat is president, and gas prices go down, it's market forces. But when they go up, it's because of the Democratic president.
Yeah.
When a Republican is in charge and gas prices go up, well, that's market forces. But when they go down, it's because of the Republican president.
Well, isn't there a switch in the Oval Office that raises the gas prices automatically? Isn't that there?
Yeah. The thing that amazes me the most about all of that is that, do they not understand there are other countries also? Like people complaining about inflation, they're like, American inflation's out of control. It's like, have you seen Europe?
No, Steve. American exceptionalism. We're better than that, Steve. We're exceptional. That stuff doesn't apply to us.
I think we've become exceptional at a couple of things. But to go back to the idea of, they said one thing under Obama and a different thing with Trump. It's the same way that they talk about how, they're the party of small government, and then they want to decide what a third grader learns in every school across America. It's cognitive dissonance. That's all it is. It is the unwillingness to accept that this concept is wrong, because if this concept is wrong, then someone who believed in it is wrong, and they believed in it, so then therefore they're wrong, and they're unable to do that.
No, it's interesting. Now, you're a smart guy. You actually have an actual history degree from an actual real university. It's not like you got some Rumble videos and a certificate from Trump U.
Don't tell my Facebook commenters that, though. According to them, I'm an idiot.
But, you look at the situation we're in, and, a lot of this stuff we've seen throughout history. Do you have any hope that we're going to get out of this anytime soon, or does it get worse from this point forward? I'm curious your thought.
I do have hope. I don't know if it's going to get worse before it gets better, but the demographics are shifting. But also, in one generation, Germany went from fascists to pacifists. Like, in one generation, there is a remarkable amount that can change very, very quickly. The thing that concerns me the most is how many of our institutions have been eroded. The faith in institutions that we need to exist have been eroded. How there are people who will not accept any source as fact. Everything's biased. Google's biased. Okay, tell me which search engine you'll use then. Well, I don't know any others. It's like, okay. I mean, you can't keep moving the goalposts, and that genuinely scares me. And I'm also genuinely scared just at public health, because there are so many people who are anti-COVID vaccine that worries me that in the next couple of years, they're going to be anti-everything vaccine, and then we're all going to die.
Couple years, no. Not couple years. It's starting now.
Yeah, that part, it just takes a couple years to have effect, but that part scares me for sure. But the reality is I'm an optimist, and I do think that if the Democratic Party or the individual candidates or whoever the hell we need to do it can stop being cowards and actually do something, and actually, while you still have power for the next year, you have a year left, just a year. Do something.
Yeah, no.
And when I say do something, I don't mean executive orders. I don't mean shove things down people's throats. I mean, look at the courts. Look at the fact that the Supreme Court, the reason 9 was not a coincidence. 9 was because that's how many federal courts there were. And now we have, 24? And so we need more judges. And the idea of being like, oh, well, it's tradition. For how long? The court's been changed several times. So we need to actually stop being cowards and do something. Yeah, and if that happens, then I have confidence.
Then I hope. But we still got Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema, and I don't know what planet they're from, because
they're from the planet Billions.
This is true, but it's hard to be a comedian in this day, or is it easy? I mean, I see you all over the country. You're probably one of the hardest working people that I've seen. You're everywhere, and you take on all comers. Is it getting harder to deal with the hecklers and the people giving you a hard time, or is it the same as it always was?
I think it's the same as it always was. I mean, in a way, their points are getting dumber, so they're easier to refute. It's not, but also, I mean, that's something that's always been the case. The person who thinks that they can yell out and correct a comedian, the person who gets a couple of drinks in them and then thinks, oh, I'm going to win. That person doesn't understand nuance. I had one that I posted the other day where some guy yelled out about Biden raising gas prices. And it was just so easy to ask him facts and have him not know anything else except that one talking point. So as long as you are educated, as long as you know what you're talking about, it's pretty easy to shoot down they only have 8 things that they say. You just got to learn what the 8 of them are.
So
you're caught up.
Are you getting any "Let's Go Brandons" or the sign I saw today, Braden? Are you getting any "Let's Go Braden"?
Oh, "Let's Go Braden." That's hilarious. I haven't gotten one at a show, but I get them online all the time. And my favorite thing to do is just say, oh, say what you mean. Are you rooting for someone named Brandon or is this code? If it's code, please tell us what you mean, because then they say it and then they get kicked off Facebook, which is fun.
There you go. You listen to the Rick Smith Show. We're here with Steve Hofstetter, comedian, My YouTube Addiction. I understand you're in New York City right now, about ready to do another comedy special, which I hope soon will be available for people to get into. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing.
So I'm actually filming the comedy special at my old grade school. The very first stage I ever set foot on is the stage that we're using. We are transforming it into a theater. It is also doubling as a fundraiser for donors' choice programs for the teachers of the school. And teachers of the school get free tickets. So it's a way that we can kind of reward them for risking their lives every day. Or as the Republicans think, teaching kindergartners CRT, because they don't know what that means. We're filming it Saturday, 2 shows, 7:00 and 9:30. Tickets are on my website, and I'm really, really excited about it. The special is about using gallows humor to deal with grief and loss, and that is a subject I think a lot of people can relate to this year.
Especially in this day. I mean, I spent about 8 hours in an ER room here recently, and the number of COVID people in this hospital just through the roof. And talking with some of the nurses and doctors, Definitely gallows humor. I mean, I guess that's the only way you get through what they live through every day. And they were like, the majority of the people here are unvaccinated. And you go, how does that message not get out to people? And I talked to one person who was literally hacking out her lungs, saying that she was proud of the fact that she was unvaccinated. I'm like, good for you.
It's interesting that you say, the case numbers were through the roof because the hospitals are so full. That's where they keep half the patients now. It is unreal that people still, and again, it goes back to moving the goalposts. It goes back to the idea of like, well, it's not 100% effective. And it's like, well, we said that from the beginning. It wasn't going to be 100% effective. And they were like, 9 people died from it. And we're like, 800,000 died from COVID. Like, what else do you need? And I remember in the beginning of, I'd say the beginning, but it was probably April of 2020 when I think we had 30,000 deaths. And I posted something about it. And someone replied saying, oh, not all those deaths are real. Not all those deaths are COVID. And I go, okay, let's argue for a moment. Let's go 10% are real. Let's say only 10%. Would that be fair to you? You think 90% of these are fake. Let's go 10% are real. Okay, that's 3,000. So if we were to get to 300,000, which in your mind would mean 30,000, again, 10%, and I have to teach them how numbers work, but 10% would be what we're at, what I think we're at today. Would that be a lot to you? And he was like, yeah. So then we were at 500,000. I tagged him again in the comment and I said, is it enough? Oh, I don't think all these are real. I'm like, that's not what I said. How many is enough? Because they keep moving the goalposts. Yeah. And they always will.
I look at one of the folks that I think you've actually done a video on Marjorie Taylor Greene, if I'm not mistaken. She tweeted out not too long ago that 600,000 people die for cancer, and we don't shut the country down for that.
Oh, I mean, apparently we've shut education down. That really is. People talk about the effect that Rupert Murdoch has had, and etc. The real thing has been taking funds away from education. That has been the thing that's hurt us more than anything, because the ability to critically think, and not only taking funds away, but the way we teach has always been bizarre. The way that we teach towards standardized testing, and the way that we teach the idea of, okay, I'm learning how to say goat in Spanish. That's perfect. Great. How can I use that? Instead, have me talk to someone about something that I can actually use in Spanish. Or instead of focusing on archaic uses of math, how about we teach people how to give change? Like, how about we teach actual life skills? How about we have ethics classes? How about we have trades classes? And instead, we teach kids things that they don't actually need to know and they don't apply. And I don't care when the train leaves from Detroit. I'm not taking it. Teach me something I need to know.
But I look at Marjorie Taylor Greene, and the reason I brought up the thing that she said is, when she got thrown off of the education committee, I said this was the dumbest idea that Democrats had. Why would you take the number one reason for increasing education funding off of your committee? Because every day you could turn to and go, we need education funding increases, Exhibit A. And she would be there to say dumb stuff, and you could go, Exhibit A. I don't know why Democrats felt the need to do Republicans' work for them.
Well, I mean, A is unfortunately that's all she can count to. So.
But again, there's all of these characters, and it's just not her. I mean, you did a good mock-up on the other one, Gun Fetish Barbie from Colorado.
Boebert. I call her great value Sarah Palin. But yeah, I did one on Boebert. I did one on Cruz. The scariest thing about Cruz, and I didn't know this until I did that research, is that he's actually one of the smartest people in Congress.
Oh yeah, no, he's probably one of the top debaters. He's a master debater.
It's yes, it is. We've seen the video. The scary thing is that he's doing it purposefully, and I also have one that's coming out shortly on Greg Abbott, where the interesting thing for me is when I do the research on it, you see all these individual things that they do, but when you put them all together, you really get a full picture of who the person is. And with Abbott, the thing I didn't realize about him is just how hypocritical he is. Yep. Just, aside from the fact that it's easy to see the hypocrisy when he made $9 million off of getting, horribly injured. I do not want to downplay the fact that he got terribly injured in a way that was unfair, and victims do deserve compensation, but he got $9 million for it, and he's still getting paid more than that every couple of years. But then he limited those same lawsuits to $250,000 for future people.
Isn't that amazing?
And so that's hypocritical right there. But then there's also all the stuff where he talks about personal liberty, except and private businesses doing what they want, and then he wants to force private businesses to play the anthem, or he wants to force private businesses to not have people vaccinated. Like, there are all these other things that he's doing that fly directly in the face of what he says over and over again. And it wasn't until I put them all together that I realized, like, oh, his main thing is being a hypocrite.
No, and one of the things about him that, from the beginning, and I think he was attorney general at the time, or lieutenant governor, years ago, when the West Texas explosion happened, when the fertilizer plant blew up, and they didn't know that there was as much fertilizer there, ammonium nitrate and all that stuff, there in big wooden boxes in a hot Texas sun without a sprinkler system. Who knew that could blow up? But he said, shouldn't we have some kind of regulation? He goes, no, you could just go knock on the door and ask them. And you go, really? I'm going to go knock on the door and say, hey, how much illegal stuff do you got on your property?
Yeah, it's actually one of the things that I talk about in the video, the idea that he expects billionaire polluters to use the honor system. Because if there's one group of people that we think will be honorable, it is billionaire polluters. That is it is. I think that if he worked at Arkham Asylum in Gotham, they would be like, it's a little too much. Greg, can you scale it back? It's a little too much.
A little bit.
At least put the mask on.
No, and this is the sad reality. These are the people who are making our policies, and they're getting away with it because they keep feeding the outrage candy.
Yes.
When you're outraged and you're afraid, you stop thinking, and that's a problem. We've got a good portion of our population not thinking. But Steve, I appreciate you taking some time for us. I wish you the best on the big special this weekend. When do you think it'll be out? When do you think we'll get a look at it?
Well, we'll probably edit it over, January, February, hoping to sell it in March and then have it be ready by the summer. So fingers crossed. And speaking of then, spring and summer is when I'm touring again. And all my tour dates are on my website. I
look forward to it, and I can't wait for you to get back here to Harrisburg on April 8th of next year. Steve, I appreciate the time, man.
Thank you much, Rick.
Great talking with you, Steve Hofstetter. Make sure you check out his website, stevehofstetter.com. We'll get links out on social media, how you can take a look at that and find out if he's coming to your neck of the woods. Hopefully Chicago, Minneapolis, he might be on your list at some point down the road. Quick break. Right back. Stick around.